Hey there guys, it's Tom from Dolphin Productions. I'm here with Keaton, who is
Hi.
a managing director here on the game called City of the Shroud. Now Keaton, could you just enlighten us to what your game is?
City of the Shroud is XCOM meets Street Fighter.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
not a combination you hear too often.
Yeah, it's a bit ambitious. It's a real-time tactical RPG with fighting game elements.
So when you say real-time tactical, and you say, so say real-time with XCOM elements, how does that tie in together? Because they're not really two elements that you would think would work.
It took a lot of prototyping. We basically said, we want to make a tactical game that feels like an action game.
Yep.
I went back and played Final Fantasy Tactics a couple of years ago, and I was just like, I don't have 30 minutes anymore. And so basically we said, okay, how do we do this? How do we create a game where speed and think on your feet action finds a place inside tactical games? And we settled on like a hybrid real-time stamina system that creates like a pseudo turn. So then everything's happening in real time, but it still rewards patience.
Right. Okay, so I saw, like you're saying, the pseudo sort of thing. So someone's doing a special ability.
Yeah.
Can you interrupt that with a certain character ability, or just by simply running away?
Yeah, so like combos have different lengths, and the bigger and better moves have longer inputs to trigger them.
Right,
so if you have like a really big, powerful move with a lot of obvious inputs, if I'm seeing that happen on the game map, I can go, oh, I should get out of the way. Or I could be like, I have a block for this move, and I could counter it. So then I've reversed the damage back on you.
Fantastic. So I was using a new use of the suplex, I think it is. Is that unique to that particular character that I was using, or can anyone use it?
So that's unique to the character. So the classes have a unique set of abilities. Each one is going to have about 15, 16 abilities. You can take 4 into battle. And then the 4 you take into battle are going to determine the play style of that specific unit.
So you can tailor, so if, say for example he does a lot of damage, for example, so you could like tailor him to be more up close and personal, like a tanky sort of person. And do each characters have different resistances? I saw that on the combat wheel, we'll get into more of that in a minute, but I saw that you had magic, strength, and a few other on there as well. Is that independent?
Yeah, so there are 3 types of damage. It's basically like your power, dexterity, and magic damage. And then the characters have different resistances, and within that you can then customize the stats of each individual unit.
Fantastic.
So if you're like, I'm about to go up against a team of a lot of mages, but I want a really physical character to go in and mess them up. You could boost your magic defense really, really high, and then focus on physical offense, which they're weak to. So you kind of like balance for strength and weakness, or you can just go all in on HP or whatever suits your fancy.
Just sort of like patience it out, make them waste their mana, and then hit them where it hurts.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Now we noticed the gameplay in the background. I did mention to you before that I wanted to talk a bit about how the City of the Shroud comes into it. Are there different areas of the city that offer you different gameplay mechanics? I noticed there in the background you can't use a melee over a gap, for example. So are there, say, certain units with ranged? Do certain bits of the city utilize different units? Yeah,
so we started designing the game with versus multiplayer. So the initial maps are very much balanced and even. But as the game goes on, it's a single-player driven story. So there are different maps that utilize that in different ways. So, like there's a rooftops map where it's kind of like a donut, and everything is a ledge. And if you have those throwing abilities, like suplex, you can throw people right off.
So you can actually throw them off the map and kills them instantly?
Yes. But then there are other moves that counter that. There are classes that counter that.
No way.
And then just like all sorts of different things to kind of make the maps and the terrain interesting. So like in the map that you fought on, there's like a little balcony area. And you can actually go up on that. But there's only one entrance. So if you get like a ranged character up on that and people are clustered around near it, you can just start picking them off. And it's going to take them longer to be able to get to you, so you kind of have that like extra defensive
But they
advantage.
can get up there and kill you if they can. So we mentioned about the combat. We've spoken to the different aspects of the combat. It's the combat wheel that it's interesting. How did you decide around that? Because it seems a very interesting and unique mechanic to sort of like stack your attacks and manage your mana and your strength and your dexterity.
It took a lot of iteration. We were like, okay, how do we do this? And then we had one where you selected from panels.
So like D-pad sort of thing.
Yeah, it was like you clicked and like 4 panels appeared, and then you just kind of like moused over what you wanted. But it wasn't really satisfying. And then we were like, well, we want some of that fighting game-ness. Which is, like you see punches and kicks, and they kind of are the build-up to a lot of special things.
A lot of combinations, yes.
So we were like, oh, well, what if we do something like that? And then we're like, okay, and then if we tie the special abilities to those things, then we can have those trigger as a result, and then there's like a time element that comes into play. And so we wanted that to be visual, both because it gives you like a thing to follow and kind of like a reward.
And gamers love to see their combos pay off, don't they? They love seeing that bit of violence.
Exactly. And the other element of it is then they don't have to remember the move. So by having arrows on the wheel, you just have to remember what move you want. And then the wheel will guide you through it.
So you start your starting arrow, for example, I think it was the suplex is left, down, left, up, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So you can do it from memory. So once you start building that understanding with the characters, suddenly then, because I got a little bit confused in the main battle bit about which characters did stuff. And then all of a sudden it sort of clicked. Right, I know that move. I know I want him to throw him closer to my mage without wasting his dexterity by moving. So I'll throw him that way, my mage will do damage. So it all came together. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but you want that.
Yeah, and we do, to be fair, we throw you into the deep end in this demo. There's very little, like, here's how to play the game. It's very much, here's what you need to know, good luck.
You meet a hat merchant. They're not usually the most informative of types. But yeah, he gives you enough to go on for one move. And then you kind of, because once you learn one move, it's just the gist of it, isn't it? It's the idea of, right, I need to start there, learn the combo, and go on for it. And can you double down on combos at all? Is there a way that you can do that?
Yeah, so basically, so double down like...
so for example, I used a suplex and then a win attack, I think it was.
Wild swing.
Yeah, wild swing, that was it.
Yeah, so you can chain as many gems together as you have equipped.
Wow.
It's just how you equip them that determines what chains together and how.
Okay.
So part of the strategy is deciding, okay, I want this ability, and I want this because they complement each other, either through status effects or how they chain into each other. And that way you can kind of say, okay, here's the thing that will hurt them if they move. Here's a move that forces them to move. If I can chain one into the other in sequence, I can do bonus damage.
Oh, fantastic.
Something like that.
So we spoke about the combat, spoken about the immense amounts of violence in this game. It's very good. But why do we want to hurt and help why do we want to help the hat merchant, for example? What's the story? Don't give away too much, but give an overriding sense of what the story is about. Why are we fighting?
So you're a citizen of Iskendrin, which is this city-state that is currently at war with a city in the north. And the war is kind of ravaging the countryside. So you flee the countryside and come to the city to find work to support your family. You then kind of learn that the city is at war with itself politically, and that things are very unstable. And right when you start to realize this is a bad place and I should leave very quickly, this enormous magical barrier descends over the city and it traps everyone inside.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
Needless to say, chaos ensues, violence in the streets. You then have to find a protector because these monsters from this ethereal portal start pouring into the city. And then, so you're having to deal with that. People don't know you, people don't trust you, and all these different people are trying at each other's throats. And you then have to navigate that situation.
So you're like the decent man in all of this. You're the one that fights for the good, the innocent, sort of like the ones that can't fend for themselves.
Exactly.
So you step in. So, and then, as you progress through the cities, you'll encounter different areas to fight in. But you encounter different units as well, the ones that I've played in today as well.
Yeah, so there are 6 different classes, and then the abilities determine kind of how they play. The monsters that emerge from the portals are kind of people who've been taken from the city and corrupted.
Corrupted.
So their move sets, they're like a reflection of the classes, but they have unique move sets and unique abilities that change the way you have to handle them.
Fantastic.
So then you have this kind of balance of I'm fighting human enemies, I'm fighting monster enemies. What does that mean for my strategy?
Yeah,
what does
exactly.
that mean
So you throw in the occasional oddball, and then suddenly what you've become comfortable with, you'd have to switch it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Oh, fantastic. So EGX as a whole, how has that affected your game? Has it been beneficial? Have you encountered a lot more, people pointed out faults maybe that you didn't realize were there to begin with?
So this is actually the 6th time we've taken the game to a show. Wow. We've gotten to the point where it's minor UI adjustments, which I'm pretty happy about. So it's mostly like, I'd like a bit of a nicer learning curve. and like, oh, you should force me to do this instead of like just saying here you go. But like
right,
that's the level that we've gotten to, which I'm really happy with.
Just small little tweaks here and there to make the entire
a year ago, just that wheel a year ago made no sense.
Well, the wheel is the most satisfying thing about that game, I think. It's the one where you slot it in, it makes that noise like, yeah, you're about to feel pain.
Yeah. So the other thing that's been really nice is people are reacting really well to how we're going to handle the story. So the main game is split into 4 chapters.
Okay, yeah.
And then each chapter has multiple paths through it, and then those paths have different choices that players can make. And we get the data on all of those choices and how many people took what path.
Oh, wow.
We then use that cumulative pile of information to write the second chapter.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's a completely community-driven story. And the woman who's writing it is a friend of ours. Her name is Moira Katzen. She's hit #1 on Amazon sci-fi and fantasy charts 3 times in 3 years.
So you got some talent behind that then.
So she's good.
Is it going to be completely unique chapters, or is it just sort of like people will get roughly the same depending on what choices they've made?
So the way it works is basically what is in a chapter is canon. But the choices you're making about how to progress through it are the perspective that you experience.
Okay, yeah.
And then once all 4 chapters are written and the game is complete and the story is done, we're then going to unlock all of the perspectives. You can go back and play through and see the different, like, oh, this is what it was like from this person's viewpoint. Brilliant. And since no one trusts each other, that should be pretty interesting.
Fantastic. Well, Keaton, thank you so much for your time. Yeah. When will City of the Shroud be hitting our stores, hopefully?
We haven't hit a solid date yet. We do have a coming soon page on Steam. But
see below.
And Steam now warns you, gives you a thing if you wishlist it when it comes out.
Cool.
But we're aiming for like first half of next year. So with any luck, then.
Brilliant.
But we're in that like 90% of the work, but last 10% of everything that needs to be done phase. So we're like, we just have to put our heads down and get it done.
Get it done.
Yep.
So guys, keep your eyes out for City of the Shroud. Keaton, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, and I hope
Likewise.
EGX continues to treat you well.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you stopping by.